I came across a few tweets and also a YouTube video from an old Call of Duty Pro gamer, now been a day trader for over 13 years, and it got me thinking why so many gamers turn into day traders and how those skills and how those thought processes kind of line up together. And after doing some research, I've actually came to the conclusion that they are very similar. The first one is going to be about cognitive skills. So with gaming, there is a lot of pattern recognition. Gamers have to learn things like spawn timing, ability cooldowns, the habits of different enemies, and traders have to learn the same thing. They have to learn support and resistance, they have to learn breakouts, they have to learn liquidity grabs, and also trend behavior. So there's a lot of pattern recognition going on for both trading and gaming. There's also things like minimaps, health, ammo, teammates, and enemies, which can be turned into things like tracking a price or the volume of a stock or the time or news or different levels. With tracking things, there comes a bit of situational awareness. For games, it's things like where am I at, where are the enemies at, what could possibly come next. And with trading, I'm assuming you can already put it together. You're thinking about where's the price at, where am I going to risk my price, and what is the likely next move to happen. And especially with day trading, if you're making micro decisions, with gaming, one team fight could be a bunch of small decisions into a quick moment. And with day trading, one trade could be a bunch of small decisions made into one moment. A lot of pro gamers, especially at the higher elite tier, are not just reacting, they are pre-firing things and they are pre-aiming things and pre-positioning themselves to set up for the future. And elite traders are doing the same thing. They are, instead of pre-aiming and pre-positioning, they are watching their indicators and likely know how it will end up moving next. Another big trait that I think these elite traders and elite gamers have, just for reference, by the way, when I say elite gamers, I don't necessarily mean pro players. Exactly, I just mean anybody who reaches any type of upper echelon for any competitive video game. Based on the percentages, the same amount of people who can actually make day trading work are the same amount of people who can actually get to a higher rank in these video games. And to do that, it takes a certain amount of psychological edge. You hear a lot of people in the day trading community talk about how setups don't necessarily matter. It's all about 80% psychology and 20% of a setup. And that is actually very true. As somebody who does day trade themselves, I can promise you that is a very true thing. Gamers and day traders both over time become desensitized to pressure. A lot of gamers know how to perform under pressure with that crowd noise, whether it be ranked anxiety or just if there's the tournament going on, they're stressful from that, or if they're like the last man standing. Trading can produce a similar response. Knowing when to stop is also a big indicator with both gaming and trading. You hear a lot of people in the gaming scene talk about if you're on a loss streak, you just need to take a break and stop playing. Same thing goes for trading. If you're on a loss streak, you need to take a break and stop trading. There's a lot of delayed gratification that goes with both gaming and trading. Grinding can take months and months and months to happen. Being consistent in day trading can also take months and months to happen. You get punished for being really impulsive. That's where you see these huge viral videos of people losing thousands of dollars on the stock market because they have no idea what they're doing and they're literally just flipping a coin with no indicators at all. A lot of gamers and traders don't see losses or deaths in a game, for example, as their identity or their self-worth. They see it as a data point, and they can use that data point to make better decisions in the future. You really have to have your ego under control with both gaming at a professional level and trading at a professional level. Having overconfidence can get you one shot, or having overconfidence in the trade could get you to blow your port. I think my favorite comparisons when it comes to this topic is the different strategy and systems that both gamers and traders do. Gamers will study patch notes or tier lists or different metas, and traders can also study trends in different markets and when is news going to happen. Both people also do a lot of backtesting. Gamers will watch their past games to figure out what went wrong and how they can play better. Traders usually tend to journal a lot about their past trades and look for different patterns on what consistently messes them up. And they also like to backtest to practice for the future. It's all about waiting for setups. So gamers will wait for different cooldowns or different angles they can take. Traders are always going to wait for different structures or different confluences. At the professional level, they will wait for it to happen and not make a rush decision. Overall, there is just a ton of resource management that goes both into trading and being a pro gamer at any level. In gaming, you have things like ammo and mana and cooldowns. But in trading, there's capital, margin, and risk. Even if you're comparing different classes in gaming, and this one's kind of funny to me, but let's say you're a tank, that could be what you could be called a big size in a trade. Or if you're a glass cannon, maybe it's a small size, but you have closer to expiration, contracts and a sort. Both comparisons have a low risk with a lower size or a huge risk with a higher size. One funny comparison I also thought about, this video, by the way, is just going to be about a ton of comparisons because I think the more I dove into this topic, the more funny it became to me and how similar these careers are. With trading, for example, you will see people post P&L screenshots or different win percentages or whatever the case may be, and you actually end up seeing the same thing in gaming. You see people posting win streaks on Twitter or different stats they have for certain games. But the best of the best traders and best of the best gamers have all one big thing in common, and that is knowing when to cut a loss. In a lot of pro games, let's say you're trying to take map control, for example, knowing when you are allowed to take map control versus knowing when you have to cut a loss of a map control can be the difference between winning and losing the entire game. Same thing goes for trading. Knowing when you have to cut your losses on a bad trade and not blowing your entire account just for one ego trade is really the difference between good traders and bad traders. Depending on what roles you play in video games as well can have a similar idea. For example, staying alive in pro video games is usually way better than any type of flashy play you can make. Although it looks really cool, might be a cool clip, it being consistent is always better than having huge flashy plays every once in a while but still being negative in the win rate. I saw an Instagram reel last week. Somebody was taking a video of their gaming setup and it says something along the lines of time to retire my gaming setup for what it's actually meant to be doing. And they swapped from, I believe they were playing Valorant or something, they swapped from playing Valorant on the screens to having a bunch of chart analysis up. And I thought it was so funny because I actually found myself doing the same thing. I asked ChatGPT to make me a quick comparison list between gaming and trading on different phrases, and I'm just going to run it down for you guys real quick. So for market open, we have match starting. For liquidity, we have player density. For stop loss, we have escape route. For trend, we have team momentum. For chop, we have random pub lobby. For news, we have a random boss event. But I think for news, I think patch notes would be better there. But anyways, for slippage, we have lag. And for revenge trading, we have rage queuing. The last one is the best. Revenge trading for rage queuing is the closest comparison I've ever heard in my life. But the main reason why both pro traders and pro gamers end up succeeding is because they don't necessarily like risk, but because they all train and all have pattern recognition that are similar. They all train the same, they all repeat the same process the same, they all study the same, they all respect certain rules that they made, and they all know how to cut losses and survive losses. Anyways, I just thought this was a very interesting topic, and I feel like as time goes on, the more and more I see this comparison being made online, people talking about getting into day trading from being professional gamers before, or if they're just in this scene in any way, shape, or form, they at least have some interest in it. And as a kid growing up who played competitive games, I would like to think at a higher level, finding myself getting into day trading eventually, and then seeing these comparisons made online and doing research into it, it all started to make sense and all started to click on why I liked it so much. There's this saying in the trading community that stuck with me a lot because I really feel like it's true, and it goes, trading is the hardest way you can make easy money. Please like the video and subscribe if you like this type of content, and leave a comment down below for what finance questions you have next.